I hid my identity as the only son of the world's richest man to have a pure relationship with a female CEO. Just as I was about to reveal my true identity to her, I overheard her close friend speaking in French right in front of me. You're about to go home for an arranged marriage. What about this little boyfriend you're dating? Are you breaking up? Yuan Shuang gently swirled the wine glass in her hand. No. We're not breaking up. I really like him, but his family background is too poor. He can't be used for an arranged marriage. This is just to give my family an explanation. He's my true love. When the time comes, just hide him. I can keep him on the side. They spoke so brazenly, not knowing I understand French. I didn't tell them that I actually understand French. So while she was vowing her eternal love to me, she had already accepted her family's arranged marriage. I made an excuse to go to the restroom, and once outside, I immediately called home. Mom, Dad, I've thought it through. I agree to come home and inherit the family business. Hearing their son finally agree, my parents on the other end of the line were overjoyed. Remembering the girlfriend I met while hiding my identity, they couldn't help but ask, "Is your girlfriend coming back with you?" No. I'm planning to break up with her. My voice subconsciously lowered. I'll settle everything here within a week. After a few more words, I hung up, I put my phone away, and returned to the private room. The noise in the room stopped for a moment when I pushed the door open, but I acted as if I didn't notice, and walked straight to Yuan Shuang's side to sit down. She paused her conversation, and looked at me sitting silently beside her. Zing, what call took so long? Before I could even speak, I was interrupted by another voice. There wasn't a single French person here, but that person spoke a sentence in French. Sister Yuan Shuang, when are you and Zhang Yubai planning to get married? Hearing this question, my hand holding the glass tightened slightly, but Yuan Shuang remained as calm as ever. She glanced at me before answering the question in French. The date is set by our families, in half a month. Hearing that, everyone simultaneously looked at me. One of the close friends asked with a hint of curiosity, "If you marry Zhang Yubai, what will happen to Gu Zinghe? Are you breaking up?" Yuan Shuang shook her head and took a small sip of wine. Then she continued, "The marriage is just an explanation for our families. The only one I love is Gu Zinghe." As soon as she said this, the whole room burst into laughter. The sound of everyone's teasing was endless. Sister Yuan Shuang, why are you playing this pure love game? With such a huge difference in status, do you really care about him? She turned her head to look at me. The tenderness and love in her eyes were so thick they were about to melt. Without saying a word, she answered that question perfectly. Someone saw her love-struck appearance and clicked their tongue in admiration. Looks like it's real love. But does he really not understand French? That person had only asked casually, but who would have thought that when the others heard it, they all burst out laughing. Gu Zinghe is poor. Where would he get the money to learn a rare foreign language? Don't worry, he definitely doesn't understand. The sound of everyone's mockery echoed in my ears. No one noticed that my breathing beside them had become a bit ragged. The hand clenching the wine glass had turned white at the knuckles. I didn't tell them that I actually understand French. After all, I was some poor boy with no money, but the only son of the world's richest family. We've known each other for 5 years, and Yuan Shuang has treated me very well, except she never took me home to meet her family. At first, I thought she was just worried about our difference in status. After all, the Yi family is a famous prestigious clan in Haicheng, so I had already planned to tell her my true identity. I am the only son of the richest man, but I just didn't want to live under my parents' protective wings forever. So I decided to hide my identity and go out to train myself. But the timing was so coincidental. 3 days ago, I saw a red wedding invitation in her study. The groom was the young master of the Zhang family, and the bride was none other than Yuan Shuang. So while she and I were intimate, she had already accepted her family's arranged marriage. So on one hand, she was coaxing me, calling me her husband, while on the other hand, she was busy marrying someone of equal social standing, someone her family approved of. In that moment, I suddenly felt there was nothing more to say. From now on, she will get married, and I will inherit the family business. We both have bright futures ahead of us. After 3 rounds of drinks, the group was chatting happily. As it was getting late, everyone dispersed, preparing to leave. I followed everyone out of the private room, and after just a few steps, I heard a strange voice from behind me. "Young Master Gu." I froze, and turned my head to see that the person who called me was a business partner who used to beg my father for cooperation. I couldn't help but sigh internally. I didn't want to expose my identity, and was thinking of a way to get out of it, when one of Yuan Shuang's friends behind her looked me up and down, and scoffed out loud. "Young Master Gu Zinghe. What a joke. Just look at the clothes he's wearing. Do they even add up to 300 yuan? How could he possibly be a young master? That's the biggest joke in the world." As soon as these words were said, it immediately triggered a burst of mocking laughter. They weren't speaking French, so I heard their ridicule clearly, but my face showed no expression. On the contrary, Yuan Shuang got angry and shot that person a cold, warning glare. That person, somewhat displeased, reined it in, no longer mocking so blatantly. The others, after receiving the warning look, also gradually fell silent. The other man didn't follow either. I walked behind Yi Shuang, and we didn't say a word on the way home. When we got home, she suddenly spoke after changing her shoes. I won't bring you to gatherings like this anymore. My expression remained calm, even though I was being subtly kicked out of her circle of friends. There was no change at all. I just opened my mouth and asked one question. Do you think I embarrass you? She was momentarily stunned and was about to hug me, but I dodged it. She could only explain helplessly. What are you thinking? I just don't want you to be wronged. But there's a difference in our statuses. We will always have to face this situation. Isn't your family rushing you into an arranged marriage? I looked at her, trying to find a hint of guilt in her expression. But even after hearing the words arranged marriage, Yi Shuang's expression only stiffened for a moment and quickly returned to normal. Zing, you just need to know that the one I love is you. That's enough. As for the other issues, I will find a way to solve them. If I hadn't observed closely, I really wouldn't have noticed anything unusual about her. After speaking, Yi Shuang went into the bathroom first, watching her back as she left. I said nothing, but couldn't help but think to myself, is the solution you mentioned to follow your family's advice? Marry one person and keep another on the side. From the bedside table not far away came the sound of a message notification. It was Yi Shuang's phone. She never hid her password from me, so I easily unlocked her phone. I tapped on the message interface and glanced at it. It was from Zhang Yubai. Shuang, we have to meet both sets of parents tomorrow. If you don't stay at my place tonight, will the elders find out that our marriage is a sham? I know the one you love is your boyfriend, but can you at least give me some face for these few days? Although the words seemed humble, I could see his intentions. First, he uses the excuse of meeting the parents to beg her to stay with him. So what about later? Hell, just keep using this excuse, taking it one step at a time, inch by inch. But this no longer concerns me. I've already decided to leave. Thinking this, I marked the message as unread and put the phone back where it was. Not long after, Yi Shuang came out after her shower. She casually picked up her phone to look at it, and the next second, she looked at me apologetically. Zing, something urgent came up at the company. I need to go over there for a bit. I won't be back tonight. You rest well at home. She left in a hurry, without noticing my reaction, nor did she notice that, previously, I always saw her to the door, while complaining to her, hoping she could spend a little more time with me. But this time, I didn't try to keep her at all, watching her figure recede into the distance. Ding! Yi Shuang had just left, and not long after, my phone also received a message. I just have to say one word, and Shuang still comes to find me. We're meeting the parents tomorrow. When we're really married, what will you be? A lover who can't be seen in the light. Zhang Yubai's words were harsh, but what hurt me more was that the knife others used to hurt me was handed to them by the very girlfriend I thought I could spend my life with. Yi Shuang probably doesn't know that even if I hadn't found that wedding invitation, the fact that she was marrying someone else couldn't have been hidden from me for long, because the day after I found the invitation, Zhang Yubai added me as a friend. For the past few days, he has been constantly sending me all sorts of provocative photos. There were photos of Yi Shuang trying on wedding dresses with Zhang Yubai, photos of them choosing diamond rings together, photos of them looking at wedding venues together. One by one, they completely destroyed all the love I had for Yi Shuang. That night, Yi Shuang didn't come back, and I didn't care at all. After waking up the next day, I went straight to the company to submit my resignation. The resignation process was completed on the same day, taking advantage of the lunch break. I had a meal with my colleagues downstairs. After hearing that I had completed my resignation, a colleague who was a bit closer to me couldn't help but tease. Lately, I've been seeing videos saying that colleagues who suddenly quit are going home to inherit the family business. Zing, you quit so decisively. Don't tell me you're also going home to inherit the family business. My colleague was just joking, but I gently nodded. Yeah, I'm about to go inherit the family business. Everyone was stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter as a group. They just treated it as a joke and didn't take it seriously. I chuckled and didn't explain further. After lunch, I packed up all my belongings and put them in a box. Then I carried the box home. When I got back, Yi Shuang happened to be at home. Seeing me carrying a box, she felt a little strange. Did you quit your job? I nodded and carried the box towards the room, but she frowned tightly and called me back. Didn't you really like this job? Why did you suddenly quit? I stopped walking, and when I looked at her, I smiled, because I have something I want to do more now. Hearing me say that, Yi Shuang didn't ask any more questions. She just said, if work is too tiring, just come home. Working yourself to death every day, it pains me to watch. Zing, you have to know that I can support you. I shook my head, saying word by word, I am not anyone's possession. Yi Shuang was stunned. What do you mean? Possession. I didn't want to listen anymore and cut her off. Why are you home so early today? Didn't you go to the company? Work has been too busy lately. I haven't had time to be with you. Today, I thought I'd spend time with you. After speaking, Her brow relaxed, and she once again became the girlfriend who would do anything I asked. What do you want to do? Western food or a movie? Whatever you want to do today, I'll go with you. If the old me had heard these words, I would probably be deeply moved right now. After all, I knew she was the heiress to the Yi Corporation, and the amount of work she had to handle every day was truly immense. So for her to be willing to spend time doing what I wanted, at least proved that I held a very large place in her heart. But now, as I look at her, I can't help but think, is it that work is too busy? Or that wedding preparations are too busy? How on earth did she manage to prepare for a wedding with another man, while also coaxing me that I was the only one she loved? In the end, I still didn't expose her lies. After all, there were only a few days left. When the time comes, I will naturally disappear from her life without a trace. I shook my head and refused her suggestion. Finally, after thinking for a moment, I said, let's clean the house together. A lot of things in the villa are old. There's no point in keeping them. Yuan Shuang agreed, and we cleaned for a long time together. But as we neared the end, she realized that the things I was clearing out were all the matching items we had bought together before. From mugs to jewelry, from clothes to slippers. I threw them all into the trash without a moment's hesitation. The smile on her face gradually stiffened as I threw away more and more matching items, until the last item was thrown into the trash. The panic in her heart could no longer be concealed. Zing. Did you find something out? What could I possibly know? Are you hiding something from me? I raised an eyebrow, looking at Yuan Shuang. Avoiding her question, I asked one back. She turned away, not daring to look me in the eye. After a moment of silence, she still didn't answer directly. She just held my hand tightly and said, Zing, no matter what happens, you just have to remember that I love you. I smirked and said nothing more. After we finished cleaning, Yuan Shuang still insisted on taking me out on a date. I was afraid she would notice something, so I didn't refuse her anymore. She took me out to eat, to a movie, and finally, the car stopped at an auction house. Just as we were about to enter, we saw a man in an exquisite suit walking towards us. A slightly unnatural expression flickered across her face, which I noticed immediately. What's wrong? See someone you know. As soon as I finished speaking, the man stopped in front of us and greeted us with a smile. Yuan Shuang also made the introduction at the right time. He's the son of a close family friend, Zhang Yubai. After saying that, she paused for a moment before introducing me. He's my boyfriend, Gu Zinghe. Hearing the starkly different introductions for the two of us, the smile on Zhang Yubai's face immediately froze. After a moment, he still forced a smile and extended his hand towards me. I've long heard that Wan Shuang's boyfriend is very handsome. Seeing you today, the rumors are indeed true. As he spoke, the group of friends who had mocked me in French right in front of me the other day also walked over, in a direction I couldn't see. They winked at Yuan Shuang. It was then that I realized this meeting was no coincidence, but that they had intentionally brought Zhang Yubai here. Anger raged within me. But in this situation, if I suddenly lost my temper, it would be even harder to explain. Helplessly, I could only suppress all my anger. During the auction, Zhang Yubai's seat was right next to Yuan Shuang. Unlike his provocations in the text messages, in person, he was very generous and knowledgeable. Knowing Yuan Shuang was interested in porcelain, he centered the conversation around that topic and talked enthusiastically. Yuan Shuang also went from her initial resistance to gradually leaning towards him until I coughed. Did Yuan Shuang remember that she had been neglecting me? She quickly said in a gentle voice, "Are you bored, Zing? I know you're not interested in these things. If there's anything you like, just bid for it." I hadn't said anything yet when the whispers from her group of friends behind her started up again. Although they intentionally lowered their voices because we were only one row apart, I could still hear them clearly. Sister Wan Shuang really knows how to save his face. So what if he's interested? He doesn't understand anything. I bet he doesn't even know how to raise the paddle. Haha. That's right. An upper-class auction. This is definitely his first time. As they spoke, they glanced at me with disdain. They said they were whispering, but I felt they were intentionally letting me hear. I didn't bother with them, since the next time we meet, they will have to stand before me respectfully and call me Young Master Gu. At this moment, the previous item had been sold, and the next item was brought up. It was a jade statue of Pines and Crane's longevity. The jade quality was top grade. Most importantly, she was of deep analysis. The auctioneer's introduction said that this was the work of Master Jun Sheng, the patriarch of jade carving. As soon as he heard this introduction, Zhang Yubai immediately became excited. He raised the bidding paddle in his hand. Wan Shuang, this item has extremely high collection value. The day after tomorrow is Grandma Yes' birthday. We can buy it as a birthday gift for her. When I heard the name of Master Jun Sheng, I subconsciously looked up at the item on stage. After just one glance, I looked away. My voice, calm and without a ripple, was like a bucket of cold water poured over Zhang Yubai's head. This one is fake. Zhang Yubai looked at me in disbelief, about to ask what a country bumpkin like me would know. But seeing Yuan Shuang next to him, he suppressed his anger and said with a smile, "Brother Gu, how could you tell?" Because the real one was already given to his grandmother by the young master of the Gu family, the son of the richest man. There's only one in the world. If the real one is at his house, then the one on stage is definitely fake. I was kindly reminding him, but as soon as these words came out, Zhang Yubai suddenly burst out laughing. Even Yi Shuang's friends behind us began to mock openly. If you don't know, don't pretend you do. How embarrassing. Yeah, and given away by the richest man's son. No less. Did you see it with your own eyes while hiding under the bed? Don't tell me you think, just because your surname is Gu, you can get close to the young master of the Gu family. The group's knocking laughter grew louder, and in the end, it was Yi Shuang with a cold face who stopped their sarcasm. She looked at me, taking my hand. Zing. I know you've read some books on appraisal recently, but appraisal skills can't be improved just by reading books. Ubai has been attending auctions since he was a child, and he has also diligently studied jade carving. He definitely knows a little more than you. She didn't say anything too harsh, but her words implied that I was talking nonsense. I chuckled softly. I didn't say anything. In the end, Zhang Yubai spent a full 100 million to successfully win the bid for that jade statue at a high price. Watching the moment he went to swipe his card, I couldn't help but smile. I wonder what the old lady of the Yi family will think when she finds out he spent 100 million on a fake jade statue for her. I didn't stop him, nor did I pay it any mind. I stood up and went to the restroom. Just as I finished washing my hands, a familiar voice sounded from behind me. Gu Zing. I thought I had made myself clear enough. I didn't expect you to be so shameless as to not leave. You really want to be like this, being the third party. His voice was harsh and unpleasant, completely different from the mature and gentle rich young master he appeared to be earlier. I nonchalantly raised my eyes and turned to look at him. Mr. Zhang, I hope y'all clarify something. I'm the one who was with her for 5 years. The label third party doesn't seem to fit me. Does it? After saying that, I intended to walk right past him and leave, but he still wouldn't let it go. He sneered and continued his mockery. You've been together for 5 years, but she won't marry you. Have you ever wondered why? I'm the heir of the Zhang family. She is the heir of the Yi group. She and I are a perfect match in social status. And what about you? A gambling father, a sick mother, such a broken family. You have nothing to your name. In what way are you worthy of her? My steps faltered. I made up this family background, but I really didn't expect that Yi Shuang would tell Zhang Yubai about this. I couldn't help but laugh self-deprecatingly. If I really came from such a background, wouldn't that mean the boyfriend she calls, the person she claims can only be her boyfriend, has handed another man a second knife to hurt me with? She really isn't worthy of me. My heart ached. I turned back to look at Zhang Yubai. The suppressed anger in my heart suddenly dissipated. You two are the ones who are a match made in heaven. I wish you two a happy ending. Having said that, I started to walk away again. I hadn't been outside for long when my phone rang. It was my mother's call. Zingy, come home soon. Everyone in the family is waiting. They've even prepared a pile of gifts for you. Your father and I bought you an old castle abroad. Your aunt bought you a diamond watch. I heard it once belonged to an English king. Your uncle also prepared a whole garage of supercars for you. Listening to Mother Gu ramble on, recounting the gifts the family prepared for my return, I was filled with helplessness. Mom, I'm coming home to inherit the family fortune, not to bankrupt it. The moment I finished speaking, a familiar voice came from behind. Inherit what family fortune? My body froze. I instinctively hung up the phone, but I couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Why does everyone like to stand behind people and speak so suddenly? I turned my head and saw Yi Shuang. Her expression wasn't very good. After a moment of silence, I spoke up to explain. It's nothing. An old colleague just asked me what I planned to do after quitting my job, so I joked with them that I was going home to inherit the family fortune. Yi Shuang frowned. You're clearly not the type to joke like that. She instinctively felt that something was wrong, just as she was about to speak. I had already taken a few steps. I turned my head and called for her to come along. There are still some precious jewelry pieces that haven't been displayed. Hearing that, Yi Shuang thought I wanted to buy some jewelry, and nodded. Following me, after I returned to the auction room, Yi Shuang bid on all the subsequent jewelry items, at high prices, then had them wrapped and handed to me. I looked at the box in my hands. I said softly, I don't use these things. Yi Shuang smiled and hugged me. Y'all get used to it. Don't be afraid of wasting money. I'll buy them for you for a lifetime. My lips moved, but in the end, I didn't say the rest of my words. I don't wear these things that cost tens of millions. Every piece in my jewelry collection is worth over 100 million. The auction was over. People in the hall left one by one. Yi Shuang and our group didn't stay long either. Everyone drove their own car. Normally, everyone would just go their separate ways. But just as I got in the car, before the car even started, Zhang Yubai knocked on the passenger seat window. The window slowly rolled down. He showed no trace of the spiteful attitude had shown me in the restroom earlier. Shuang, my car broke down. Can you give me a ride home? Yi Shuang frowned. She was just about to refuse when he spoke again. Uncle and aunt already said for you to take care of me. You haven't forgotten, have you? I don't know what Yi Shuang thought of. Her expression darkened slightly. In the end, she still agreed, seeing her nod immediately. The smile on his face widened. Then he pushed his luck further. looking at me, but I get carsick. What should I do if I can't sit in the back seat? Yuan Shuang looked at me before she could even speak. I had already pushed the car door open, got out of the car, and moved directly to the back seat. My movements were as smooth as flowing water. Yuan Shuang didn't even have time to react. I was already settled in the back seat. Her words were instantly stuck in her throat, neither coming up nor going down, making it very uncomfortable. She hesitated, wanting to speak, wanting to say it's just a seat, that I didn't need to mind so much. When her eyes glanced at the back seat through the rearview mirror, I had already closed my eyes, looking like I wanted to rest. Just then, Zhang Obai also got into the car door closed, seeing me resting with my eyes closed in the back seat. The corner of his mouth lifted into a smug smile. Gu Xing, even if you're still the one she likes now, so what I want fall into my hands in the end. Winning her heart is just a matter of time. Thinking this, Zhang Yubai's mood suddenly improved. When he looked at Yuan Shuang, his eyes were full of tenderness. Is Mr. Gu tired? Then let's just let him rest for a while. Perhaps she had noticed my unusual behavior. Yuan Shuang didn't talk much with Zhang Yubai either. She just gave a nod and silently started the car. I don't know when I fell asleep. When I woke up, the car had stopped in the garage of the Yi family's villa. Zhang Yubai had long since left the car. Yuan Shuang stroked my face. You're awake. I saw you were sleeping so soundly. I didn't have the heart to wake you. My consciousness was still a bit fuzzy. I nodded, then opened the car door. Getting out of the car, I didn't wait for Yuan Shuang but walked straight towards the main gate. By the time Yuan Shuang got out of the car, I had already reached the door. She hurriedly took a few steps to catch up, blocking me at the door. Are you angry? Zhang Obai really is just the son of a close family friend. Don't mind him. I just hummed in response. Yuan Shuang thought I was still angry. She reached out to pull me back and said in a low, helpless voice, he really is just the son of a family friend. Darling, I love only you. You know that? After speaking, she stepped forward to kiss me, but I pushed her away, looking at her shocked expression. I walked straight into the house, not feeling well, going to my room to rest first. After saying that, I locked the door from the inside, completely blocking any chance for Yuan Shuang to enter the room. Early the next morning, in the first-floor dining room, I was having breakfast with Yuan Shuang. My phone, which was next to me, suddenly rang. It was the alarm I had set earlier. The note read, "Meet the family day." Yuan Shuang also saw those words. I had previously planned to tell her my true identity, so I suggested she come home to meet my parents. She had agreed. The two of us looked at each other. I was thinking about how to cancel this meeting. The next second, her phone also rang. It was Zhang Yubai. I don't know what was said on the other end. Her expression changed slightly. When she came back towards me, she apologetically declined this meeting. Zingy. Something urgent came up this time. I'll go meet your parents with you next time. Okay. She must have thought I would make a scene, that I would get angry. But as it turned out, I just calmly nodded. As it happens, I also have something to do today. Not long after Yuan Shuang left, I also went out for a walk in the shopping mall to prepare gifts for the friends I was about to meet, one for each person. When I arrived at the meeting spot, everyone opened their gifts. After seeing that each box contained a brand new designer item, they immediately cried out in surprise. Zingy, where did you find so many high-end goods? They look so real. They are all real. Seeing how they loved them and couldn't bear to put them down, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. After explaining, seeing that they all seemed skeptical, I revealed my true identity. Actually, I've told you guys before that my dad was a gambler and my mom was seriously ill. That background was fake. My true identity is the only son of the richest man. This time, I'm saying goodbye to you all, because I have to go home and inherit the family fortune. Hearing me say that, everyone was stunned at first, then amazed, and finally, overjoyed. They shouted that a great young master was right beside them. Their shouts almost tore the roof off the restaurant. After cheering, someone remembered Yuan Shuang and hurriedly asked, but if you go back, what will happen to Yuan Shuang? Does she know your real identity? At the mention of Yuan Shuang, the smile on my face faded a little. She's planning to marry someone else. How can that be? Hearing this, my friends all looked incredulous. In our eyes, she's a rare, deeply devoted person among the wealthy. Yeah. That's right. 3 years ago, you said you liked night blooming cereus. She spent a huge sum to buy all the night blooming cereus in the world, just to see you smile. 2 years ago, you had the flu. She turned down $100 million contract and rushed back from abroad to take care of you personally. She didn't dare to sleep a wink all night. And 1 year ago, the car you two were in had an accident. Originally, the out-of-control truck was heading towards your side. To protect you, she tried hard to turn the wheel. In the end, you were unharmed, but she broke 3 ribs. She was bedridden for 3 months and almost didn't wake up. Now she's getting married. How could the groom not be you? Hearing my friends recount these old stories, I still felt deeply moved. The Yuan Shuang back then truly loved me. Loved me so much she didn't even care about her own life. But now, I shook my head and chuckled softly. She loves me, but her family thinks my status isn't worthy of her. I haven't even had the chance to tell the truth. She's already printed the wedding invitations. From what she said, she probably wants me to be her lover after she gets married. My friends exploded when they heard that. What lover? Making the only son of the richest man a lover. The Yi family must be crazy. Fine. 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 The day will come when she regrets this to death, especially if she knew you secretly left her family. She'd probably go crazy if she knew your true identity. At that very moment, Yuan Shuang and Zhang Ubai walked in from the door. Hearing their words, she frowned. What true identity? Seeing them walk in together, one of my indignant friends was just about to speak. When I stopped him, I looked at the two who had just entered. My expression was cold. Why are you two here? Hearing my question, Yuan Shuang couldn't help but feel a little guilty. Her gaze shifted away. Our two families happened to have a joint project, so we arranged to meet and discuss it. Hearing her answer, I laughed again. Of course. I knew about their collaboration, a marriage collaboration, because they had to discuss their collaboration. Yuan Shuang and Jiang Ubai didn't sit at the same table with them, but sat at a separate table nearby. The distance wasn't far, just enough for me to see their intimate actions. For example, she helped him cut his steak. He shared his favorite dish with her. She passed him a napkin. He helped wipe the corner of her mouth. Their back-and-forth interactions drove my friends crazy with anger, but I remained calm. After the meal was finished, my party also broke up. Yuan Shuang then offered to drive me and Zhang Yubi home, perhaps because of the previous fight over the passenger seat. Yuan Shuang had learned her lesson this time. She decisively drove the family's extended Rolls-Royce, and it was even chauffeured. Naturally, there would be no more issue with the passenger seat. The car drove smoothly towards the Jiang family home. The road was clear. No one expected an accident to happen at this moment. An out-of-control truck came rushing from another direction. The driver instinctively swerved sharply. With a loud crash, the two vehicles still inevitably collided. As the car window shattered, I fell to the other side due to inertia, just in time to see Yuan Shuang protecting Zhang Ubai next to her. Not only did she keep him from getting hurt at all, but she also comforted his feelings. My consciousness gradually faded. I suddenly remembered the accident my friends had just mentioned. That was during our 4th year together. My feelings for her were at their most passionate stage. It was also an intersection like this. Also, a truck speeding towards us, and my side was exactly where the truck was heading. In that terrifying moment, I realized I couldn't avoid the truck. I could only force myself to turn the car so that my side would take the hit from the truck. The front of the car caved in. She was trapped in the driver's seat. The firefighters and doctors worked together for a long time before they could get her out of the car. She almost died that day, but even so, after she was out of danger, her first words upon waking up were still to ask about my safety. Now it's a similar accident, but the difference is, the person she instinctively protected is no longer me. The rear of the extended Rolls-Royce was smashed beyond recognition. It wasn't until everyone got out of the car that Yuan Shuang, who had been comforting Zhang Ube all along, finally saw me silently holding my bleeding forehead. Fortunately, my injury wasn't serious. After arriving at the hospital, once it was bandaged, there were no more problems. It's just that, because it was a head injury, the doctor still recommended staying in the hospital for 2 days of observation. Yuan Shuang looked at the gauze on my head. Her face was full of guilt. Zingy. Sorry. At that time, I was just thinking that I have a collaboration with Zhang Yubi soon. We need to attend an event together. His face couldn't be injured. That's why I protected him. You can hit me. You can scold me. I'll take it all. Just don't ignore me. Okay. Her apologetic attitude was indeed very sincere. The reason also seemed plausible. If I didn't remember their wedding was going to be held in less than half a month. I lowered my head and said nothing. I didn't say I wouldn't forgive her, nor did I say I would. From beginning to end, my expression was completely placid. Yuan Shuang's apologies didn't stop. She kept saying, sorry. Suddenly, as if remembering something, a glint of hope flashed in her eyes. Your birthday is in a few days. Can I give you your gift early? What do you want for your birthday? I'll buy it all for you. Hearing that, I finally looked up at her. My gaze was still completely calm. Then buy me a plane ticket to Hucheng. 3 days from now. What are you going to Hucheng for? She was a little surprised, but she quickly came up with an answer herself. Do you want to go on a trip? I didn't explain. I just nodded. Yuan Shuang didn't ask any more questions. She immediately opened her phone right in front of me and bought a plane ticket to Hucheng. After buying the ticket, she said, I have things to do during this period, so I don't have time to go with you. You go ahead and have fun in Hucheng first. When I'm free, I'll go on a trip with you. Buying a plane ticket. This birthday gift is too small. I'll give you a big surprise then. I shook my head and chuckled softly. It's not small. Not small at all. After all, this plane ticket is my way home. Yuan Shuang, thank you for your gift, for personally sending me home. During the 2 days in the hospital, Yuan Shuang seemed to have returned to how she was when we first fell in love. It could be said that she took meticulous care of me, but the good times were short-lived. Her care ended on the day of my discharge. She said beforehand that she had work at the company and told the driver to take me home. Immediately after, I received a provocative text from Zhang Ubai. Sorry, Wan Shuang and I are getting married soon. Today she has to go back to my family's old home for dinner with me. I'm afraid she won't have time to pick you up. From the hospital, I paid no mind to this message. I just went home quietly and started packing my luggage. On the day of departure, I woke up very early, 7 hours before takeoff. I moved my suitcases out one by one and happened to run into Yuan Shuang returning. Seeing the suitcases piled up at the villa door, she panicked, a sense of unease rising in her heart. What's going on? Didn't you say you were going to Hucheng for fun? It's still the plane ticket you bought for me. Have you forgotten? My expression was nonchalant, as if I was really just preparing to go on a trip. But my words failed to convince her. Aren't you just going for a day or two? Do you need to bring so much luggage? I smirked. Bring in a few extra sets of clothes. I want to take a lot of pictures, but you never liked taking pictures so much before. When we traveled together, you never packed so much. That sense of unease spread from her heart throughout her body, making her wish she could open my suitcases right then and there, to inspect them thoroughly, to see if it was really as I said. She was just about to act when she was interrupted by a ringing phone. It was a call from Zhang Ubai. After answering the phone, I don't know what was said on the other end. Yuan Shuang was silent for a moment, but ultimately, she stepped out the door. Before leaving, she didn't forget to remind me one more time. Zingy, don't stay out too long. Send me your return flight details when the time comes. I'll come pick you up. I didn't answer, because I knew I would never come back. This meeting was our final goodbye. 5 hours before takeoff, I changed the password for the main gate from my birthday to Zhang Ubi's. Then I stuck a note on the door. This place will be Mr. Zhang's home eventually. Anyway, so it's better to set the password to his birthday. 3 hours before takeoff, I found all the photos of me and Yuan Shuang in the villa and threw them one by one into the fire pit. Me hugging her, kissing under the brilliant fireworks, her saying "you're mine" over and over again, her confessing her love to me amidst the sunset and the Milky Way, vowing to love me for a lifetime, her shielding me from the car, breaking 3 ribs. Her social media feed was all about me. We went through spring together, walked through summer, welcomed autumn, and experienced winter. Now, the memories were being burned away, bit by bit, and we were completely over. 2 hours before takeoff, my phone rang. I opened it to see Zhang Ubai had sent me a video. The video seemed to be of a family party with Yuan Shuang's friends, Zhang Ubi's brothers, and elders from both sides. A lot of people were surrounding Yuan Shuang and Zhang Ubai, the 2 main stars of the event. The sound of cheering echoed endlessly. Kiss! Kiss! I'm telling you, Sister Wan Shuang. The wedding is just a few days away. What's there to be shy about? Amidst the cheering, a blushing Zhang Ubai closed his eyes and moved closer to her. The crowd's shouts grew louder, urging Yuan Shuang to kiss him. Yuan Shuang stared at the person in front of her and finally closed her eyes. The video played on a loop. On the 7th replay, a message from Zhang Ubai arrived. Gu Xing. Did you see that? I'm the son-in-law acknowledged by everyone in the Yi family. Your family is so poor. How could the Yi family possibly think highly of you? Your family background is barely good enough to marry a beggar. So what if Wan Shuang loves you? I'm breaking down her defenses bit by bit. First, she met the family with me, then lived together, and she just kissed me. Tell me, how much longer until we're in bed together? I didn't reply to his message. I just quietly took the provocative messages he'd been sending these past few days and printed them out. Page by page, I arranged them into a stack and placed it in the empty living room. 1 hour before takeoff, I left my final words on top of that stack of papers. Yuan Shuang, happy wedding, we're over. Then I dragged my suitcase and left the villa complex, called a taxi, and sped towards the airport. Yuan Shuang, from now on, I go back to being the richest man's son, and I have nothing to do with you anymore. Hucheng Airport. As I dragged my suitcase out of the airport, a Bugatti that was obviously extremely expensive was already waiting outside. The moment he saw me approaching, the man standing by the car immediately opened the door for me. Young master, please get in. The luggage was put in the car. I had just gotten in and sat down when I started casually talking to the man in the driver's seat. The conversation became lively. Uncle Lai, why did you come to pick me up? Where's our family driver? Uncle Lai chuckled, the small wrinkles at the corners of his eyes making him look even kinder. The car started, slowly merging into the flow of traffic. His voice followed along with it. Young master, you haven't been back in years. When I heard you were coming back today, I volunteered for this job. It seems Uncle Lee missed me. I smiled, a hint of teasing in my eyes. Soon after, the car stopped in front of the Gu family mansion. I got out of the car and walked straight into the mansion. As I pushed the door open, a crowd of servants was already waiting by the door. Seeing me enter, their voices and actions were perfectly synchronized. Welcome home, young master. I felt a bit helpless and held my forehead. Uncle Lai pushed the suitcase forward, and a servant took it and carried it upstairs. Seeing my helpless expression, he chuckled and said, the master and madam are very particular about etiquette. When they heard you were coming back, they trained all night to organize a welcoming ceremony. They are probably waiting for you in the living room now. I nodded. Although this display was indeed a bit over the top, I didn't say anything to spoil the mood and went straight to the living room. As expected, The living room was filled with people my parents, as well as my uncle and aunt. I greeted each of them one by one, sitting down next to my parents. Looking at their concerned faces, the composure I had maintained for so long suddenly shattered. An indescribable feeling of being wronged welled up inside me. I had been doted on by all my elders since I was a child, and had never suffered any injustice. Not until I wanted to train myself, hid my identity, and went to Haicheng did I meet Yuanshuang. Knowing her for 5 years, I gave her my sincere heart. At that time, I truly wanted to spend the rest of my life with her, and I was certain that, sooner or later, we would become each other's one and only. It's just a pity that in the end, I almost became a lover she kept on the side. Without even knowing it, a sincere love ended up being thrown to the dogs. My mother noticed my heavy mood and patted my shoulder. Let what's past be past. The one thing we're not afraid of is making mistakes. At worst, we can just start over. The one thing we don't lack is the chance to correct our mistakes. Hearing my parents' comforting words, my mood finally eased a little. Seeing this, the others quickly changed the subject and hurriedly took out the gifts they had prepared. Looking at them, I realized that when my mother called me before, what she said wasn't an exaggeration at all. In fact, it was even a bit modest. From property deeds to keys, on a thick stack, was another long string of keys. The most prominent was the diamond watch placed in the middle, made of gold and diamonds. Every diamond was incredibly large. Every part of it exuded an extraordinary and precious aura, but they still seemed to feel it wasn't enough, trying to cover the entire table in front of me. Only then did they feel satisfied. Just as I was about to helplessly say it wasn't necessary, my aunt suddenly slammed the table, her eyes shining like stars. Zingy, didn't you just break up? As it happens, a friend's daughter just got back to me. My friend has been worried for a long time that her daughter hasn't found a boyfriend. How about you two go on a blind date? Just think of it as making a new friend. I was stunned and quickly waved my hands, saying I didn't want to. But my aunt wouldn't let me refuse, and directly took out her phone to show me a contact. That girl, before she went abroad, I met her. She's absolutely beautiful. Even if there's no romantic fate, it's still good to be friends. Faced with her hard-to-refuse enthusiasm, I finally agreed to her suggestion. I just didn't expect that. As soon as I opened the contact she sent, I discovered that I was already friends with that person. I clicked on it to take a look. The profile picture was a crescent moon against a pitch-black background. I was taken aback and thought hard for a long time, but still couldn't remember when I had added her as a friend. I didn't ask and calmly turned off my phone screen. After all the answers would naturally come out when we met, just as I was preparing for a blind date with someone else. In another place, Yuanshuang had finally returned home. The sky was getting dark, and the lights in the villa were off. She didn't see the note on the door, and entered the password as usual. After entering it, as she was about to push the door open, she found that the door still wouldn't open. A little confused, she looked up, and only then did she see the note on the door. This place will be Mr. Zhang's home eventually. Anyway, so it's better to set the password to his birthday. Mr. Zhang's home, Zhang Ubai. Her heart suddenly skipped a beat. Could it be that he already knew something? But I've only met Zhang Ubi once, and no one else could have told him about this. Where could he have found out I'm marrying Zhang Ubai? Yuanshuang hesitantly entered Zhang Ubai's date of birth. The villa's main door opened immediately. She turned on the lights. The villa was empty. She unconsciously called out Zing, the sound echoing through the villa, but there was no reply. It was then that she remembered. I had gone to Hu Cheng 2 days ago. He rarely left her for so long. Most of the time, he was the one at home waiting for her to return. Or rather, ever since we started living together, aside from this time, every other time she came home, he was always there waiting for her. Thinking of this, a flicker of unease suddenly rose in Yuanshuang's heart. She suddenly felt an emptiness inside. Could he really have done it? But on second thought, she dismissed the idea. How could that be? Gu Zing loves me so much. Perhaps it's just because I've spent less time with him these past few days. So his mind is wandering, and he accidentally guessed the relationship between me and Zhang Ubai. But hell eventually come back to me. I'll just have to coax him then. Thinking this, she rubbed her temples and walked towards the living room. It seems I'll have to call him later and ask when he's coming back and talk things through with him. But as she reached the living room, before she could even dial the number, her eyes were drawn to a stack of items on the living room table. Yuanshuang didn't stop walking, but quickened her pace towards it. She quickly sat down on the sofa and picked up the stack of unknown paper documents. She felt a vague sense of anticipation. Is this from Zing? Is it for me? I knew it. He's just sulking. How could he really want to leave me? A faint smile curved her lips, but it quickly froze after she saw the contents of the paper clearly. The top sheet, aside from a single line of handwriting, had nothing else on it. Yuanshuang recognized it at a glance. It was my handwriting, flourished on the page. If you didn't look closely at what was written, you would only find it beautiful. But ironically, the words he wrote were like a sledgehammer, slamming hard into her heart. Yuanshuang, happy wedding, were over. She could almost hear a ringing in her own ears. Her mind went blank. She carefully reread it several times, and finally confirmed she hadn't misread it. He had written, happy wedding, were over. He didn't want her anymore. It must be a joke. How could he not want her? Her hands unconsciously tore that page, crumpled it into a ball, and threw it far away. Because of this action, the contents of the second page were revealed. It was a printed screenshot of a chat history, recorded from the day they became friends. I didn't set a nickname, so Yi Wanchuang could only see the person's profile picture and nickname. It looked very familiar to her, because she was also friends with that person. It was Zhang Ubai. The first message was from Zhang Ube, sent half a month ago. She flipped through page by page, her heart sinking deeper into an abyss. I hear you're the pretty boy Wanchuang is keeping on the side. Let me introduce myself. My name is Zhang Ubi, and I'm her fiancé. I advise you to know your place, and get lost quickly. Otherwise, when Wanchuang and I get married, and you get kicked out of the villa, it'll all be very embarrassing. With just one word from me, Wanchuang will still come to me. We're meeting the families tomorrow. Once we're actually married, what the hell are you? A pretty boy who can't be seen in public. So what if she loves you? She kissed me just now. Tell me, how much longer until we're in bed together? In between, there were occasional photos or a video clip. There were their wedding photos. There were photos of them choosing a diamond ring together. There were photos of them choosing a wedding venue together. As for that video, I took a screenshot, the most representative moment from the whole thing. It was also the moment Zhang Ubai most wanted me to see. It was her and Zhang Ubai, in front of both their families and a crowd of friends, kissing passionately. The taut string in her mind suddenly snapped. A wordless panic filled her heart. Her face turned several shades paler, her mouth still ceaselessly murmuring the three words, "I don't believe it." She stood up and ran towards the upstairs bedroom, but her legs couldn't help but give way. As she was going upstairs, she carelessly missed a step, and with a loud thud, she tumbled all the way down the stairs. The sharp pain helped her regain a bit of rationality. She gritted her teeth, held onto the railing, and stood up, limping her way back upstairs. This time, perhaps because she went a bit slower, there were no more accidents. Smoothly, she returned to the bedroom. With one glance, she discovered that only her things were left in the room. Everything related to me had disappeared. Even the photo frame with their picture, once on the bedside table, now had its photo missing. Only the empty frame remained, still in its original place. Yi Wanchuang seemed to have realized something, and a look of panic flashed in her eyes again. She opened the wardrobe, then opened the drawers. After my things had been removed, those places had all become empty. The bedroom, the bathroom, the study. She searched all over the villa, every place that could have held things related to them, but she couldn't find a single item related to me anymore. Recalling the time before when I suddenly said I wanted to do a deep clean, and then threw away all our matching couple items. At this moment, she finally understood why I did that. I was actually that heartless, not leaving her even a single memory. The unease in her heart was about to become reality, but she still didn't dare to believe it. They had known each other for 5 years. I clearly loved her so much. How could he be so cruel as to abandon me? She didn't dare believe what she was seeing. The only thought left in her mind was to find him and ask him clearly. She didn't even know what she was doing. When she came to her senses, she was back in the living room, and a long dial tone was already sounding from her phone. The phone rang for a long time, and the other side finally picked up, perhaps because it was late. I seemed to have been woken from sleep and didn't clearly see who was calling, so I just answered it. My voice still carried a bit of grogginess. "Hello. Who is this?" "Zingy. It's me." She spoke with some difficulty, afraid I would hang up, thinking it was a spam call. "Where are you? I want to see you for a bit. And what about our photos together?" The moment she started speaking, my consciousness became fully awake. I picked up my phone, and when I clearly saw the two words Wanchuang on the screen, I let out a sigh. Miscalculated. I forgot to block her number. While I was silent, Yi Wanchuang on the other end persistently called out my name. It couldn't help but stir a sense of disgust in me. "Miss E, you're about to have a family. You should maintain a necessary distance. As for those photos, I think when Mr. Zhang moves in, he won't be happy to see those things in the villa, so I burned them all. As for meeting up, I think it's even more unnecessary. You're about to marry someone else. Why would you want to see an ex-boyfriend like me?" Hearing me say that all the photos had been burned, Yi Wanchuang felt as if her heart was bleeding, but what hurt her even more was my decisive rejection. "Zingy, I don't agree to break up. What's between me and Zhang Ubai isn't what you think. The person I truly love is only you. How could you just abandon me like that?" By the end of her words, I could even hear a slight sob in her voice. It made me fall silent for a moment. I rarely saw her cry. In the 5 years we knew each other, I only saw her cry once. It was during the car accident we had that year. She was clearly the one more seriously injured, but when she woke up and saw the unavoidable injuries on my body, she still cried silently. It was completely unlike her decisive demeanor in the business world. If a business partner of the Yi family had passed by then and seen her state, their jaw would have probably dropped in shock. This was the second time. I never denied Yi Wanchuang's love for me before, but it's precisely because I've seen how Yi Wanchuang loves me. That later, when she used the excuse of dealing with family pressure to marry and agreed to the alliance with Zhang Ubai, I could keenly sense that her heart had begun to change. She probably still loved me very much, but I was no longer the only one she loved, so I would be the first one to be abandoned after she weighed her options, regardless of whether she decided on her own to quietly keep me on the side, like a lover, or later, during the car accident, when she unconsciously saved Jiang Yubi first. Her first choice was no longer me, so now, even hearing her sob, hearing her pain, my heart remained perfectly still. Yuan Shuang, you and I are just breaking up. A breakup doesn't require both parties to agree. Besides, if we're talking about abandonment, weren't you the one who abandoned our relationship first? And now you're saying something about me abandoning you. Also, since we've come this far, please understand, we have already broken up. Please don't disturb my life anymore in the future. With every word I spoke, Yuan Shuang's heart ached a little more. Her lips trembled, her eyes filled with sorrow. Zingy, she had just called my name. When the phone emitted the beeping sound of a disconnected call, she was stunned, and when she tried to call back, she found the call wouldn't go through. She had been blocked. Yuan Shuang tried other methods of contact, but found that all the messages she sent were followed by a red exclamation mark. She collapsed onto the sofa in despair, her gaze falling back onto that stack of documents. She stared at the stack of papers, grief and anger surging at the same time. She forcefully swept the stack of papers off the table. The pages fluttered in the air with a rustling sound. They finally scattered onto the table, the sofa, and the floor. It's all Jiang Yubi's fault. If he hadn't exposed this in front of Gu Tinha, why would he have left so decisively? The last page fell in front of her. On it was the last boastful message Jiang Yubi sent me. So what if she loves you? She's already kissed me now. How much longer do you think it'll be before we're in bed together? Her gaze was heavy, staring intently at those words. After a long while, she suddenly let out a cold laugh. A malicious glint flashed in her eyes, which were like stagnant pools of water. Jiang Yubi, I told you a long time ago, the only person I like is Tin Ha. Who gave you the nerve to dare to provoke Tin Ha? Since you want to get married so badly, why don't I give you a big gift? How about it? I had no idea what Yuan Shuang was thinking. Without any expression, I moved the phone number labeled Yuan Shuang to the blacklist. After blocking all her other means of contact, I put my phone back down. Then I fell into a deep sleep. That night, I slept particularly well, because tomorrow was the day I would start my job at Shanghai Group as a CEO appointed out of the blue. I woke up very early. I was confident I could hold my own in this position, but at least on my first day, I wouldn't let myself become a topic of gossip for others. Shanghai Group was considered the Gu family's business. With a history of hundreds of years, its scope of operations was extremely broad. Before I even took office, news that Shanghai Group had a handsome young CEO appointed out of nowhere had already spread throughout the upper class. At that time, Yuan Shuang was with her group of girlfriends, drinking away their sorrows in Haicheng's largest club. I heard Gu Tinha found out she was marrying someone else, so he broke up with Yuan Shuang in a fit of anger. No one paid any mind to it. He just couldn't accept the fact that, from now on, he could only be with you without any official status. So he's just throwing a tantrum and asking for a breakup. I heard he even quit his job a while ago. Don't worry, once he spends all the money he has, he'll come back sooner or later. Otherwise, who's gonna fill the hole left by his gambling father and sick mother? A gigolo like him. I've seen plenty. Wasn't he just trying to cling to you before? Now that the beautiful dream is shattered, it's normal that he can't accept it. At worst, you can just coax him a little later. That's right, with his status. How could he possibly be your husband? He was delusional from the start. This life with you is something he wouldn't have even dared to dream of before. The words mocking me were endless, ringing in my ears, hearing it to the point that Yuan Shuang, who was still drinking away her sorrows alone, also found it a bit jarring. Her expression was dark. She forcefully smashed the glass in her hand. Crash! The crisp sound of shattering glass echoed along with flying shards, causing the noisy room to quiet down a bit. Suddenly, her cold, icy voice rang out. Have you said enough? Everyone else stared blankly at her expression. They didn't react. No one understood what she was angry about. Hearing her words, it seemed like she was defending me, but this wasn't the first time they had talked about me like that. They'd even said it many times right in front of me. Yuan Shuang, and I never said anything. Right, so what does this mean now? In the end, it was the person closest to her, Lu Kaiyan, who frowned and spoke first, breaking the dead silence. But her words showed no regard for her anger. She just treated it as if she was complaining they were too loud. She chuckled twice, her gaze toward her carrying a hint of teasing. What's wrong? Is Sister Ron Shuang still unhappy? We know you care about him a lot. Don't worry. How could he really let go of a money tree like you? Believe it or not, in less than half a month, he will definitely come crawling back to you. At that point, won't you have the final say? But as soon as she finished speaking, she looked up at Lu Qian. Her gaze was sharp, her voice as cold as ice. Apologize. Lu Qian was stunned, not understanding what she meant. Her voice rang out again. Apologize to him. It was only then that Lu Qian finally understood that she was really doing all this because they were belittling me. Sister Yuan Shuang, why are you so worked up? Besides, the girls aren't wrong. Isn't a poor guy clinging to you for your money? When we said it before, you never refuted it. Hearing Lu Qian's words, Yuan Shuang suddenly froze. The gloominess in her eyes dissipated, eventually turning into confusion. So they had said such things many times before. So whenever she encountered this situation before, she always chose to condone it. She searched her memories, trying to find evidence to refute it, only to find that she wasn't wrong. It wasn't the first time they had belittled me like that. As for her, whether I was present or not, because they spoke in French, she always chose to tacitly approve, only when they said it directly to my face would she stop them with a word or two. But how could that prevention be considered evidence? It was just her reluctant pretense, in front of me, and her previous tacit approvals were her true thoughts. Thinking of this, she suddenly didn't know what to say. She could only, glass by glass, pour herself another drink. But at the same time, a glimmer of hope couldn't help but rise in Yuan Shuang's heart. That's right. He still has a gambling father and a seriously ill mother, and now he's lost his job. Maybe in a while, he really will come back to her. At this point, the others didn't want to poke the bear anymore. They changed the subject. Shunkai Group recently had a CEO appointed out of the blue. Have you guys heard anything? I heard it's the young master of the Gu family. There's been no news of him in recent years because he wanted to train on his own outside. Now that he's just back, didn't the Gu family immediately hand Sheng Xie over to him? Anyway, young Master Gu is the only son, so those businesses will definitely fall into his hands eventually. Even though he was appointed out of nowhere, he must have been groomed from an early age, so he could take office directly. Speaking of which, they both have the surname Gu, so why is the gap between people so big? Yuan Shuang wasn't interested in this topic, so she didn't participate. She just sat alone in the corner, the empty wine bottles in front of her piling up, she wasn't listening attentively. So naturally she didn't hear them say that the young master of the Gu family went out to train a few years ago, and only recently returned home. This statement also made her not even consider that. Perhaps the note I left for her when I left, the words written on it were all true. By the time the party ended, it was late at night. Yuan Shuang had drunk too much, and her steps became unsteady. Lu Kaiyan and the group looked at her unstable state, and really didn't feel at ease, letting her go home alone. They had no choice but to call Zhang Yu Bai. By the time he rushed over, only Lu Kaiyan was left beside Yuan Shuang. Seeing him arrive, she quickly handed Yuan Shuang over to him. Sister Yuan Shuang, I'll leave her to you. You have to take Sister Yuan Shuang home safely. After saying that, she even threw him a you know what I mean look, grabbing her car keys. She walked straight out of the private room, leaving only the dead drunk Yuan Shuang and Zhang Yu Bai. He didn't take her to the Yi family villa, but straight to his own villa. After much difficulty getting into the room, he placed her on the soft bed. He gently wiped her face, and finally, carefully lay down beside her. Yuan Shuang, we're getting married soon anyway. This is just a little earlier. The woman beside him, not knowing if she really heard him, wrapped her arms around him, her head buried in his shoulder and neck, her hot breath fanning out, landing on his neck, causing his body to tremble uncontrollably. The temperature in the room seemed to be gradually rising with the ambiguous atmosphere. But the next second, the name she called out successfully made his heart, which was about to leap out of his chest, return to its place. Tinha, she made no other movements, just held him tightly in her arms, as if the moment she let go, he would disappear once again. Zhang Yu Bai lay quietly in her arms, making no other move. Only a malicious glint flashed in his eyes. Gu Tinha. It's Gu Tinha again. If only he could disappear from this world. The next night, Yuan Shuang woke up from her drunken state, only to feel a splitting headache. As she was about to raise her hand to massage it, she suddenly realized there seemed to be someone else in her arms. She looked down but only saw a head of exquisitely curled hair. Before her mind could even react, the name slipped out of her mouth. Tinha. But as soon as the words were spoken, she noticed something was wrong. A bad premonition suddenly rose in her heart. Using the strength in her arms, she forcefully pushed the person away. Zhang Yu Bai, who was sound asleep, was pushed off the bed. With a thud, he fell to the floor and was now completely awake. As soon as he looked up, he saw Yuan Shuang with a dark expression. Why are you here? Her cold, emotionless voice instantly made him feel extremely wrong. He pursed his lips, his eyes welling up with tears. The look of tears about to spill from the corners of his eyes was incredibly pitiful. If the person in front of him right now were someone else, perhaps seeing him like this, they would have truly softened. Or if it were the Yuan Shuang from before she broke up with me, perhaps she wouldn't have been so cold to him. But ironically, the person seeing him like this now was the one who had seen how he provoked me, causing me and her to break up. Yuan Shuang. Zhang Yu Bai saw that she remained unmoved, her expression even darker. So he quickly suppressed the feeling of being wrong and explained, you were drunk last night. You wouldn't let me go to your villa, so I had to bring you to my place. Hearing this, Yuan Shuang finally noticed. She was too angry just now to pay attention to the room. It wasn't her room. Her expression softened a little, but her guard against him didn't lessen at all. Then why were you sleeping with me? As soon as she spoke, she saw a red flush appear on his face. I was originally gonna settle you in and then sleep in the living room, but you just kept pulling me and wouldn't let go. His shy and embarrassed appearance made her expression suddenly change. It's unclear how much of that she believed. Zhang Yu Bai only saw her suddenly stand up before leaving the room, glancing at him coldly. Zhang Yu Bai, cut your little tricks. We are getting married, but that's only because you're obedient to deal with my parents. If there's a next time, I don't mind replacing you. Zhang Yu Bai's expression was ugly, watching her departing back. He nearly ground his teeth to dust. Hu Cheng. Gu family residence. I looked at another unknown number appearing on the screen, and for the first time, I felt that Yuan Shuang was like a dog skin plaster that couldn't be peeled off. Utterly disgusting. A while ago, after I blocked her, it was quiet for a while. Recently, I don't know what's gotten into her. I block one number, and she just changes to another, and continues to call me. I hung up again, and after blocking this number, the incessant ringing of the phone finally stopped. I let out a soft sigh, turned off my phone, and placed it face down on the desk in silence. I finally had time to carefully examine the document in front of me. This project was the first major project I took over. After coming to Shanghai, if I could complete this project successfully, then I would have secured my position in the senior management of Shanghai. I hadn't hesitated to take on this project at the time, but after taking it, I discovered that Yuan Shuang had suddenly been added to the list of bidders. I wasn't afraid of a direct confrontation with Yuan Shuang. I just didn't quite understand what exactly was the reason for Yuan Shuang's action. The Yi family's foundation is in Haicheng. For her to suddenly get involved in a project in Hucheng, could it be because of me? Thinking of this, I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. Does Yuan Shuang really think that doing this is a sign of deep affection, preparing for a wedding with one man, while relentlessly clinging to another, playing both sides, and yet so confident, and she still dares to tell me that she and Zhang Yubai are not what I think. But even if she really doesn't love Zhang Yubai, so what? Zhang Yubai, after all, is still the marriage partner she chose herself. After agreeing to it, even if I weren't the only son of the world's richest man, she still shouldn't have unilaterally decided to turn me from a legitimate boyfriend into a lover she keeps on the side. Right. This bidding was extremely fierce. Not only Shengqi and Yes Company from Hucheng participated, but more than half of the top wealthy families were also involved. Of course, there were many others like Yuan Shuang who came from other cities. Because there were so many people, the organizer directly held a party, inviting all the corporations participating in the bid. When Aunt Gu brought the invitation, she even gave me a mysterious wink. I looked at her meaningful gaze and thought I had missed some important information. I looked at her with a puzzled expression. Auntie, is there something else? As soon as Aunt Gu heard this, she shot me a look, seeing that I seemed to have really, completely forgotten what we talked about a few days ago. She stopped being cryptic with me. She took a step forward and slapped my shoulder hard. Oh, my. Didn't I tell you a few days ago that ID let you meet my friend's daughter? That girl was extremely busy before. She had no free time. What a coincidence. She's also going to this bidding, so you two can go together. Hearing it was about a blind date, I was immediately a bit speechless. Plus, with this meeting occasion, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry for a moment. Auntie, we're both going to the bidding this time. Doesn't that make us competitors? Having competitors go on a blind date at the bidding site. You really are the first. Following my own words, I gave a thumbs up, but Aunt Gu didn't care about that at all. So what? You're rivals in business, but not necessarily outside of it. Besides, if you meet beforehand, using a honey trap is also a good idea. I've heard, although that girl has never been in love, she did like a boy once. I heard he's exactly your type. I was stunned when I heard that. I just remembered that last time after discovering we had been friends for a long time. Since we skipped the step of adding each other as friends, I later forgot to chat. As time went by, I naturally forgot about the blind date. Now that Aunt Gu reminded me, I remembered that the person she likes is my type. We've even been friends for a long time. Could it be that this girl added me as a friend from the beginning because of this? I frowned. My favorable impression of her instantly dropped a few notches. Now it seems she doesn't really not want a boyfriend, but just can't let go of the person in her heart. In this situation, wouldn't I be willingly becoming a substitute if I approach her? I didn't mention this to Aunt Gu. After all, she didn't know about it. I just gave a perfunctory smile and took the invitation. I no longer had any interest in the meeting she mentioned. I just didn't expect that. I thought my silence was a way of saving face, but in Aunt Gus's eyes, it became a tacit agreement. On the day of the bidding, she acted decisively and directly had a driver wait outside the Gu family villa. Hello, Mr. Gu. A woman in a Chanel dress saw me come out and quickly approached, but I just stood in front of her, without moving another step. I haven't asked for your name yet, I said coolly. She was stunned, lowering her eyes, hiding the disappointment in them. After a moment of silence, she replied, my surname is Song. Song Ron Ron. After getting the answer, I didn't continue to be difficult with her. When she motioned for me to get in the car again, I went along with it and sat in the passenger seat until the car door closed. I don't know if it was out of anger or some other reason. She silently stopped talking to me. I looked at the scenery outside the window, but I found myself unconsciously mulling over the three words. Song Ron Ron. I had no particular impression of this name. I just felt it was inexplicably familiar. I secretly turned my head to look at her and saw she was just focused on driving. I wanted to say something, but didn't know how to start. After hesitating for a long time, I still didn't say anything in the end. The car quickly stopped in front of the banquet hall. Song Rowan and I got out of the car. I originally intended to go straight inside, but after walking a short distance forward, she was still standing behind. I turned my head to look back, only to see her standing still. Her expression was a bit dazed. "What's wrong?" I asked doubtfully. She pursed her lips and raised her eyes to look straight at me. Other people enter with their female companions on their arm. For some reason, although there was no ripple of emotion on Song Ron-Roan's face, I inexplicably saw a trace of grievance on her face. I cleared my throat lightly, walked back somewhat reluctantly, took her arm, and we walked towards the banquet hall together. As we neared the door, I couldn't help but ask, "Did we know each other before?" Hearing my question, at that moment, disappointment flashed in Song Ron-Roan's eyes. He really doesn't remember anything about me. Just as I thought she wouldn't answer this question, she took a deep breath and broke that dead silence. "We were high school classmates. It's just that I was always the one sitting in the corner of the classroom. She was lonely and quiet, always the easiest person to overlook in class. Even Mr. and Mrs. Song were busy with work all year round and had no time to pay attention to her. The Song Ron of that time, because she was immersed in her own world every day, responded indifferently to classmates who tried to talk to her. Therefore, even though she looked far from ordinary, not many people remembered her. Just like me beside her now, she had liked me for a very long time, from the very first time I interacted with her. From then on, unlike the classmates who only gave her a perfunctory greeting and never contacted her again, at that time, I wouldn't ignore her because of her silence. No matter what the issue, whatever was happening, I would seriously ask for the opinions of all my classmates, including her. I became the person who appeared in her life, the person who talked to her the most, and also became the only light in her life. But later, she endlessly hated her own shyness and silence, which made it so she could only rely on the single piece of information in the graduation yearbook to add me as a friend, but never once initiated a conversation with me, because she always felt that an ordinary person like her wasn't worthy of me. Later, when she was studying abroad, while also undergoing psychological treatment, the first time she gathered the courage to ask about me, she received news that I was already dating someone else. At that time, she thought, as long as I was happy, she was about to give up. But just then, she heard that my girlfriend and I had broken up, so she came back, until this very moment. Hearing Song Ron explain it like this, I finally found in a corner of my memory those fragmented memories related to her, just thinking about that quiet classmate from the past, and then looking at her now, attending parties and discussing business collaborations so naturally. I still found it a little hard to believe. I couldn't help but exclaim out loud, "We haven't seen each other in years. You've changed so much. You've become more beautiful." Hearing my last sentence, she couldn't help but blush to the tips of her ears. The banquet hall was very lively. There were many people who came to participate in the auction. The two of us hadn't been in the hall for long when another man and woman entered the banquet hall. I just heard a noise and reflexively turned to look at the entrance of the hall. Unexpectedly, my eyes met those of the newcomers. "Tinha!" The simultaneous cry of surprise attracted the attention of others in the banquet hall. Everyone's eyes turned towards the entrance of the banquet hall. As for me, forced to be the center of attention, I frowned. The Yi and Jiang families are top-tier families in Haithan. After all, why would Yi Yuan Shuang and Zhang Yubai come to Huthan for a party and make such a scene, without a shred of the etiquette and restraint of a major family? Afraid of getting involved with them, I ignored the two behind me and turned away. Taking Song Ron's hand, I quickly walked deeper into the banquet hall. Behind me, Yi Yuan Shuang was first shocked to see me here. Then she saw me walking straight ahead with my arm linked with the girl beside me. In an instant, anger made her lose her mind, causing her to disregard Zhang Yubai beside her and hurry after me, questioning loudly, "Tinha, who is she? Why are you with her?" By the time Zhang Yubai rushed to catch up, what he heard was Yi Yuan Shuang's questioning, full of this gunpowder-like tension. Zhang Yubai said nothing. His eyes scanned the two of us with our arms linked for a long time. His face was full of mockery. What else could it be? He must have latched onto someone else after breaking up with you. Otherwise, with his status, how could he get into this auction hall? He said it with absolute certainty, completely oblivious to Yi Yuan Shuang's darkening expression and the strange looks from the people around him. When they looked at him, the Gu family is the richest family in Huthan. I am the only son of the richest man. Do I need to cling to someone else just to get into the banquet hall? Where on earth did these two idiots come from? If even the only son of the richest man needs to cling to someone else to be able to participate in the auction, then who else would be qualified? But there was a good show to watch, so no one went to remind them. I stood in the crowd. My eyebrows had just furrowed when Song Ron beside Messface turned cold. She reached out and grabbed Yi Yuan Shuang's wrist. The next second, Yi Yuan Shuang felt a sharp pain shoot through her wrist. Perhaps not expecting Song Ron to suddenly make a move, she was caught off guard for a moment and almost cried out in pain. Seeing that even so, she still wouldn't let go and kept holding onto my hand. Song Ron's emotionless voice rang out, "Let go. The cold voice made Yi Yuan Shuang shudder involuntarily. She looked up at the woman in front of her, and her expression became even uglier. Seeing her predicament at this moment, Jiang Yubai couldn't help but feel a bit of heartache. He immediately pointed at Song Ruan's nose and scolded her. "Do you know who we are? How dare you treat us like this? Believe it or not, it'll make you suffer the consequences." Suffer the consequences. Although Yi Yuan Shuang said nothing, but seeing the gloomy glint in her eyes, plus the fact that she didn't stop him from the beginning to the end, from spouting Jiang Yubai's nonsense, it was clear her thoughts were the same as Jiang Yubai's. I sneered, first patting Song Ruan's hand, signaling for her to let go. Although Song Ruan was a little reluctant, but seeing me nod at her, she still obediently let go. Seeing our reaction, Yi Yuan Shuang's expression finally improved a little. Even Jiang Yubai thought we were scared and had given in. He put on a deeply affectionate expression and was just about to speak, when in the next second, I took off my brooch and stabbed it at her hand without hesitation. Yi Yuan Shuang was still certain that I wouldn't dare to actually do it. After all, I loved her so much. How could I bear to hurt her? It must just be an act to scare her. Tinha, I know. Hiss. But just as she opened her mouth, the brooch had already stabbed hard into the back of her hand. The sudden sharp pain made her hand lose its strength instantly and let go. No longer holding my hand, I took the opportunity to step back and dodge. The slap Jiang Yubai was swinging at me. Then, with a crisp smack, a slap landed squarely on his face. A clear handprint immediately appeared on Jiang Yubai's face. He was filled with disbelief, never thinking I would dare to hit him. Gutin Ha. You. In contrast to his fury and madness, my expression was very calm, as if I hadn't just slapped Jiang Yubai, but merely greeted them. I tossed a tissue to Song Ruan, then slowly took another one and wiped my hand. My gaze towards him was condescending and held a hint of mockery. Are you two very important people? The sneer at the corner of my mouth made Yi Yuan Shuang's eyes turn red, but all her anger cooled down with my next sentence. Two idiots came to participate in an auction, and they don't even know who their opponent is. Auction opponent. Yi Yuan Shuang and Jiang Yubai recalled the documents they had received, then looked closely at the person in front of them, and finally connected Song Ruan to the person in the document. The second young lady of the Song family, a clan second only to the richest Gu family in Huthan. The Yi family, the Jiang family, although considered top tier in Haithan, were nothing in front of the Gu and Song families. At this moment, Song Ruan, who had only said let go at the beginning and had been silent ever since, finally spoke again. Instead of asking if I know who you two are, why don't you ask the person beside you who we are? The word we instantly made Yi Yuan Shuang and Jiang Yubai freeze on the spot, so she meant that not only her, but I also came to participate in the auction. The other auction participants clearly didn't match me. The only one left could only be the young master of the Gu family, the only son of the richest man in Huthan. Realizing this, Yi Yuan Shuang's and Jiang Yubai's faces suddenly turned pale. Looking again, the surrounding crowd all wore expressions of watching a show. At this moment, how could the two of them not understand that they were the clowns being watched? Yi Yuan Shuang's face turned from green to red, and she no longer cared about the fact that she had come here this time to participate in the auction. She hurriedly left the banquet hall in an extremely pathetic state. Seeing her leave, Jiang Yubai shot me a resentful glare, and also hurried after her. I saw his hateful gaze, but paid him no mind. After all, this wasn't the first day Jiang Yubai had hated me. Jiang Yubai's backing was nothing more than the Jiang family, and the illusory marriage with Yi Yuan Shuang. Yi Yuan Shuang could, while still in love with me, agree to a marriage alliance with Jiang Yubai. So when the benefits Jiang Yubai could bring her dwindled, she would naturally abandon Jiang Yubai for someone else. As for the Jiang family, I didn't even need to make a move, as long as the Jiang family knew that the person Jiang Yubai had offended was the Gu family. The first to abandon him would be the Jiang family. But right now, for me, the most important thing was this auction. Just as this farce ended, the organizers finally appeared. He glanced indifferently at the two who had already gotten into their car and fled for their lives. Saying nothing, he just silently crossed their names off in his mind. The auction process was tense and fierce, but in the end, I still won the project. When returning to the city, it was still Song Ruan who drove me back. The car rolled forward. This time, the one who broke the silence first was Song Ruan. Do you still like her? She asked suddenly. I was stunned for a long moment before I could react to who she was talking about. I immediately looked speechless. Where did you get that idea? I thought you agreed to the blind date because you knew she would be there. So you brought me along to provoke her. After all, when we first met, your attitude wasn't exactly friendly. Although my attitude towards Yi Yuan Shuang wasn't friendly either, I still couldn't help but wonder if you didn't remember me. And when we first met, you were even a bit wary of me. Then why did you agree to the blind date your aunt suggested? My aunt suggested it, so I came to see, but am not in the habit of still having feelings for one person while getting involved with another. My requirement for a significant other is loyalty. Therefore, I have the same requirement for myself. Perhaps it was because of what happened at the party. That brought the two of us closer. I answered her question with great patience this time. The two of us just chatted idly like that. The car quickly stopped in front of the Gu family's villa gate. I waved at her as a farewell, then turned to walk into the villa. Just as I was about to reach the door, my footsteps suddenly stopped. I turned around and looked back, only to see her car still parked in the same spot, with no sign of starting. I walked back to her side, and the car window rolled down just in time. She blinked her eyes, looking at me with a somewhat bewildered and confused gaze. Mr. Gu, is there something else? We're all classmates. No need to be so formal. From now on, you can just call me Tin Ha. Hearing the hesitation in her address, I chuckled. But I agreed to the blind date, only for my aunt's sake. Not really, intending to start a new relationship, so let's just be friends for now. Okay. After saying that, I waved at her again, truly greeting her like normal friends. Be careful on your way home. Watching my figure slowly disappear behind the villa gate, a faint smile appeared on her face. Song Roan had waited so many years, so naturally, she didn't mind waiting a little longer. Just as I had said, we're just being friends for now. Besides, to go from strangers to friends, she was already very content. Tonight, unlike the two in Hythan who tossed and turned sleeplessly, Song Roan and I both slept very well. Until early the next morning, I was woken up by the incessant ringing of my phone. I drowsily opened my eyes, only to find that my social media account had crashed from being spammed. The dinging and donging of notifications rang out non-stop. A single glance showed it was all malicious curses. Just then, a call came from a Hythan number. I answered, and found out it was my friend of several years from Hythan. Tinha, have you seen the rumors online? Those netizens are such sheep, they believe whatever people say. Even the rumor about the richest young master being someone else's other man can spread like this. You should clarify it quickly, so those who slandered you can receive the punishment they deserve, Zhang Yun said in one breathless rush, like a machine gun. His rapid breathing clearly showed his indignation. Listening to his explanation, I finally understood the whole story. It turned out that after Zhang Yubai returned to Hythan yesterday, he still couldn't swallow his anger from the party. Relying on the fact that he and Yi Yuan Shuang had an engagement, he twisted the truth, saying I had interfered in the relationship between him and Yi Yuan Shuang. He even released evidence of Yi Yuan Shuang and I living together after their engagement. Originally, netizens didn't believe that the only son of the richest man would destroy someone else's family. Yet Zhang Yubai released evidence, and even Yi Yuan Shuang's close friends testified one by one, saying that I was the one who interfered. So the netizens who got the big scoop in the middle of the night believed it to be true, and went straight to my social media account to start a frenzied spam attack. Your family is so rich. Didn't anyone teach you that people should have morals, and not destroy other people's families? The only son of the richest man, no less, doing something like this is truly morally corrupt. Shameless. Boycott you. Boycott Shunkai. Among the curses, there was no shortage of opportunists who fouled my account and spewed profanities, using vulgar, filthy language that was simply unbearable to look at. Of course, there were also some rational netizens who said that they should wait for my response first, that at least they couldn't just believe one side of the story. It's just that most of the comments below such posts were also similar curses. Ill handle it. Did you forget? The only son of the richest man. Shenkis' legal department isn't just for show. He dared to fabricate things, so he must have also prepared himself to accept the final consequences. Hearing my confident tone, he finally heaved a sigh of relief. He comforted me with a few more words before hanging up the phone. After hanging up the phone, I went on the website again to see how big the incident had become. When I saw those malicious curses, it would be a lie to say I wasn't angry at all. I just didn't quite understand. Before, they looked down on me as unworthy of Yi Yuan Shuang. Now my identity as the only son of the richest man is known even to netizens. Where on earth did they get the audacity to collude with Zhang Yubai to slander me? My face turned cold. I took screenshots and saved every online statement. Just then, the phone rang urgently again. It was an unknown number. I hesitated for a moment but still answered. Tinha, are you okay now? Don't mind what's being said online. I know you didn't do those things. There's no need to be angry about it either. I believe Mr. and Mrs. Gu have already handled this matter. If you need any help from me, just come find me. Hearing the gentleness and concern in Song Ron's voice, I just felt the gloominess weighing on my heart being swept away. I chuckled softly and said, it's okay. I'm not that weak. It's just a rumor. I can handle it myself. Seeing that I was in a good mood, Song Ron's suspended heart finally settled down. She didn't want to hang up, but didn't know what else she could say at this moment. Both ends of the line fell into a prolonged silence. In the prolonged silence, through the phone screen, it seemed one could even hear the other's soft breathing. In the end, it was I who took the initiative to break this silence. Song Ron, thank you. Although I won't be affected by those baseless rumors, but thank you for your concern. I silently added the last sentence in my heart. Finally, I quickly hung up the phone. On the other end, Song Ron held the disconnected phone and just felt that time passed so quickly. If only that moment could have lasted forever. Just like that, the two people on either end of the phone in a world without words, silently listened to each other's breathing. For her, that was enough. Gus' parents, when they first heard the news of me being cyberbullied, were so angry they started cursing loudly. They were just short of personally going to find Yi Wan Shuang and Zhang Yu Bai and their wicked friends to cause trouble. A bastard and a bitch, truly overestimating themselves, daring to slander my son. They are indeed like newborn calves, not afraid of a tiger, daring to provoke me. The Gu family. Mother Gu, hearing Father Gus' words, immediately rolled her eyes. Newborn calves? What newborn calves? In my opinion, they are a pair of beasts. I had a very hard time coaxing the tempers of Gus' parents. Seeing them like this, I was momentarily at a loss whether to laugh or cry. All right, Mom, Dad, don't worry. I won't let them bully me for no reason. They dared to fabricate things, so they must be prepared to pay the price. Haithan, the Zhang family. Yuan Shuang, with a gloomy expression, looked at the miserably crying Zhang Yu Bai, with only disgust left in her eyes. Haven't I told you? You'd best cut out your petty tricks. Originally, seeing you still had some use, I planned to keep you around, but you really have some nerve, directly contacting Lu Qian and the others to slander Tin Ha. It seems I've given you too much face. She pinched his chin, forcing him to raise his head. He shook his head continuously, but it didn't earn him her pity. Wan Shuang, that bastard is clearly the only son of the richest man, but he deceived you for 5 years. Now we've offended him. Do you really think he still has feelings for you? Instead of waiting for him to take revenge later, why don't we join forces to completely crush the Gu family? Hearing his words, Yuan Shuang's grip finally loosened a bit. That's right, he is clearly the only son of the richest man, but he hid it from her for 5 whole years. If she had known earlier that he was the only son of the richest man, she wouldn't have had to contact others. She didn't despise the fake identity he made up, and was even willing to keep him by her side. But what about him? He used this opportunity to completely dump her, and made her suffer such a great loss. So why should she still help him maintain that lofty status? Just let him fall with her, then wait until he hits rock bottom, and has no choice but to come back to her. Isn't that good? After all, when he left, he threw away everything related to the two of them, and what he burned. He burned completely. As long as their side held on tight and didn't let go, wouldn't he be branded as the third party? Yuan Shuang let go, releasing Zhang Yu Bai's chin. When she looked at him, there was finally a hint of satisfaction in her eyes. Then you'll have to try harder to completely pull him down from the position of the richest man. After speaking, she didn't stay any longer, and turned to leave Zhang Yu Bai's villa. The roar of the car's engine grew more distant, and the malice in Zhang Yu Bai's eyes deepened. He didn't do this on a whim. Ever since returning from Huthan this time, and learning that he had ruined the auction, and offended the richest young master, the Zhang family had decisively abandoned Zhang Yu Bai. He originally wanted to rely on his marriage to Yi Wan Shuang to secure his position in the Jiang family, but as soon as he mentioned it, Father Zhang and Mother Zhang slapped him. You still dare to mention marrying Yi Yuan Shuang? She came to us to cancel the engagement as soon as she got back today. You can't even hold on to one woman. Tell me, what use are you after all? Until this moment, Zhang Yu Bai finally realized he had been abandoned by everyone. But on what grounds? Gu Tin Ha, because of you. I was abandoned by the Zhang family and despised by Yi Wan Shuang. On what grounds can you still look down on me from your high horse? He directed all his resentment towards me, pulling in Lu Qian and Yi Yuan Shuang for an all-or-nothing gamble. In a last-ditch struggle, they all naively believed that, as long as they erased the past between me and Yi Wan Shuang, even if I presented evidence of our 5-year relationship, they could fabricate earlier evidence to mislead public opinion, until I directly released 2 surveillance videos, and the chat history Zhang Yu Bai had sent to provoke me before. The video was of a conversation a month ago, when they spoke in French right in front of me. Although the voices of the people in the camera were a bit distorted, the meaning in their words was still conveyed very clearly. Yi Wan Shuang had gotten engaged to someone else behind my back, and even tried to keep me by her side as a lover in the name of love. And the second surveillance video was the confrontation between Zhang Yu Bai and me outside the restroom. In the video, it could be clearly heard that when I said Yi Yuan Shuang and I had dated for 5 years first, if we really had to say who interfered, it would have to be Zhang Yu Bai. He, aside from being helplessly angry, but didn't refute it at all. If the person who interfered was really me, with Zhang Yu Bai's personality, he should have refuted it back then. Furthermore, the words he later said when he ran up to the official boyfriend, to show off and gloat. No matter how you look at it, it doesn't seem like something the wronged party would say, but more like the one who is not loved is the third party with that kind of thinking. In reality, he himself knew he was the one who interfered, which is why he said such things. Public opinion immediately reversed. However badly the netizens cursed me before, now the backlash is just as harsh on Yi Wan Shuang and Zhang Yu Bai, while the netizens who called themselves messengers of justice flooded Yi Yuan Shuang's and Zhang Yu Bai's Weibo to curse them frantically. I directly filed a lawsuit, suing everyone who had run to my comment section to curse me and received many likes, and those who fished in troubled waters to slander me, plus Zhang Yubai's and Yi Yuan Shuang's group of friends. All of them were sued. I didn't personally follow up on the subsequent matters. I fully entrusted them to Sheng Kiss legal department to handle, logging back into my social media account. The comment section was finally much cleaner, occasionally. A few clowns who popped up were quickly muted. After waiting for the mute period to end, just as they were about to continue their arrogant talk, they discovered a court summons in their account. This time, they were finally completely obedient. As for the well-intentioned, comforting comments, I also posted a separate Weibo post. The net of heaven is vast, sparse, yet nothing escapes it. Only those with a guilty conscience fear rumors. As for me, I will only use the law to protect my legitimate rights. Zhang Obai was completely abandoned. I didn't pay much attention to what happened afterward. I believe that with the capabilities of Sheng Kiss legal department, they could definitely make them pay a fitting price. I just heard that on the day Zhang Obai was taken to court, he couldn't even find a lawyer willing to defend him, which made me sigh a little. Actually, if Zhang Obai hadn't sought his own demise in front of me, he could have completely maintained a superficial peace with Yi Yuan Shuang, becoming the most ordinary couple in a marriage of convenience among the wealthy. But he was insatiable. When I was still with Yi Yuan Shuang, he wanted to drive me away. I left her, yet he dumped all the grievances he suffered onto me, wanting to trample me under his feet. And in the end, he met this fate. Even Yi Yuan Shuang and the group of friends led by Lu Qianqian, always fawning over the powerful and trampling on the weak, believing that background determines everything. Later, when they discovered there was absolutely no chance of reconciliation with me, they went down the path of colluding with Zhang Obai to do evil, and ended up being sued together. Why did it have to be like this? Looking back at the central character of this drama, Yi Yuan Shuang, because she never posted any related statements, and just remained silent, she managed to separate herself from the matter. This matter came to a temporary end. That day, the legal representative came to see me to report the results to me because the circumstances were serious. In court, that group of people still shouted that they were not wrong. Their attitude of remorse was terrible. Plus, I refused to reconcile. In the end, they were all sentenced to 2 years in prison. Afterward, netizens all joked that the scene of a bunch of rich kids crying and screaming while being thrown into prison was truly a rare sight, perhaps something you only see once in a lifetime. After learning their final verdict, I no longer cared about what happened afterward. I just didn't expect that Yi Yuan Shuang would come looking for me again. At that time, I was discussing with Song Ruan where to eat after work, when the receptionist's internal phone rang. CEO Gu, a missy says she wants to see you. When I heard this, I was stunned for a moment. I glanced at the person beside me. It only took a month to suppress the Yi group to the point it wasn't the same as before. Song Ruan pondered for a moment and still agreed. I was also very curious. In a situation where both sides had completely turned against each other, what she came to find me for. I thought Yi Yuan Shuang must not be having an easy time now. But the moment I actually saw her, I was still stunned for a moment. We hadn't seen each other for just a few months, yet I almost didn't recognize the skeletal person in front of my desk. With a haggard expression, the woman who looked at least 10 years older was the same beautiful and charming Yi Yuan Shuang from not long ago. But I was only surprised for a moment and quickly returned to a look of cold and distant alienation, keeping others at arm's length. As for Yi Yuan Shuang, seeing Song Ruan sitting next to me, she seemed not to expect her to be here as well. Her breathing became chaotic for a moment, but she also knew that she no longer had any say in front of me. Her expression was sorrowful, begging for my last bit of pity. Zingy, I know I wronged you before, but I never really deceived you. From beginning to end, I only loved you, for the sake of our past feelings. Please spare the Yi group. She humbled herself greatly, completely unlike the look of arrogance she tried to suppress, but always revealed from every aspect when we were dating. But I spread my hands and shook my head, then pointed to Song Ruan beside me. The one who wants to suppress the Yi group is not me. Why don't you go beg her? I laughed, still smiling on my face, but the smile didn't reach my eyes. Besides, Yi Yuan Shuang, haven't our past feelings all been exhausted by you when you hid your engagement to someone else from me, planning only to keep me as a lover on the side, when you used French with your friends to casually mock and belittle me, and never thought to speak up and stop them? When Zhang Obai and your friends fabricated stories about me, you were content to be invisible. Now you come running to me, talking about past feelings. So why didn't you remember we had feelings back then? As soon as these words were spoken, Yi Yuan Shuang's face immediately turned pale. At this moment, she only felt a bitter taste in her throat. It was even difficult to swallow. Zingy, I know I was wrong. Sorry, but if this continues, the Yi group really can't hold on anymore. I still shrugged indifferently. The Yi group can't hold on. So what does that have to do with me? Yuan Shuang. They have all paid the price for what they did. What makes you think that with just a simple apology, you can cleanly separate yourself from this? But I never did those things to you. Her expression was anxious, trying to justify herself. But she saw that the moment I finished speaking, I couldn't even be bothered to maintain that fake smile. You didn't do it. You just stood by and watched coldly. Yuan Shuang, a bystander like you is the most detestable. Looking at the woman in front of me, the disgust in my eyes was unconcealed. Yuan Shuang, it's because of your indifference that your friends used such venomous words against me. It's because of your tacit approval that you gave Zhang Ubie the chance to hurt me time and time again. Now you say you didn't do it. Fine, you say you didn't do it. I'll also say I'm not suppressing the Yi group. As for the Yi group's matter, I can't help. After speaking, I raised my voice. Linda, see our guest out. Linda heard the order and pushed open the door to the office, wearing a very professional smile on her face. This way, please. CEO Yi. She still wanted to say something, but I had already pulled Song Ruan straight past her and out the door. After all, I am the CEO. No one will mind if I skip work for a bit sometimes. As for the person in the office, Linda is watching over her and seeing her out. There won't be any problems. So what should we eat? Western food or home-style cooking? It's been a while. I kinda wanna eat home-style cooking. Then let's have home-style cooking. I'll listen to you. Song Ruan's eyes relaxed, completely different from the shy, reserved look when we first met. She turned back and raised an eyebrow at me. Why do you listen to me on everything? I suddenly stopped and looked at her. Her incredibly serious gaze made my heart skip a beat. I was just about to change the subject and continue walking forward when her voice caught up from behind. Because, Zingy, I like you. Her confession was a bit sudden, yet somewhat within my expectations. My steps halted. When I turned my head to look at her, I couldn't help but let out a sigh. But I know you said that right now you're still not ready to accept a new relationship. So, when you are ready to accept one, can I be the first one? Her eyes sparkled like the Milky Way. I looked at the sparkling light in her eyes, and the words of rejection could no longer be spoken. I curved my lips into a slight smile. Since you're so sincere, then I'll reluctantly agree. She also smiled back. It's not reluctant, you know? And then she followed her heart and hugged me. Song Ruan has waded through many lonely winters and summers. She firmly believes that in the next cycle of seasons, loneliness will no longer accompany her.